Hey guys, welcome back to Critical Flick. Today I'll be reviewing Skinamarink. Skinamarink is a new experimental horror film that is now in theaters but will be premiering on Shudder. And it takes place in the mid-90s and follows two young children that are staying at their father's home when suddenly the father disappears, the doors and windows are disappearing, everything is shifting and changing, and there's this malicious force that is tormenting them throughout the film. And this movie was filmed on an extremely small budget. It was actually $15,000 from what I've seen, and it's filmed in the childhood home of the director, and they make good use of that small budget. That being said, it obviously does come across as a film that doesn't have all the money behind it, so a lot of the scenes are very bare bones and very basic. A lot of the shots actually reminded me of things that I filmed when I was younger with my friends using an old Sony Handycam with like a not so great night shot plus vision feature on it. It has kind of a grainy overlay to it, but also that kind of plays into the fact that this is supposed to take place in the mid-90s, so it gives that kind of feel to the film. And I will say right away that a lot of people will find this movie very pretentious, and I feel like that's totally merited because a large part of this runtime, probably 30 minutes of the hour and a half, is just shots of corners of furniture or objects barely moving or long dark hallways. And while that can create an air of suspense and tension, I think for some people they might find it just boring in general. And the movie does take its time getting going. The first 30 minutes so of this film, there's not a lot going on. It's really just filming kind of mundane moments with these children in this home and these weird angles, and then it really starts to get going. And I feel like when the movie fully kicks into gear, particularly the last 40 minutes of the film, I understand why people find this movie so disturbing. I wouldn't necessarily call the film scary by any means, especially if you're more into more conventional horror films, but this movie still has some really unsettling elements to it, and I think it's because it really draws off the natural fear of claustrophobia or being alone or being abandoned as a child. Because it takes place in the mid-90s, it kind of kicks into my brain because I was about the age of these children during this time, so I kind of sympathized with these characters and the idea of being kind of randomly left alone without your parents and being kind of trapped and scared of these dark voids in your own home. There is some unsettling imagery towards the end of the film, not to go into too many spoilers, but it really, like I said, kicks into gear in that last 30-40 minutes of the movie. And the last 5 minutes or so really tries to push forward more and more disturbing imagery. And I think honestly the scariest part of this movie is a moment involving a toy phone that just really made me jump in particular. And a lot of the audio in this movie is very, very muffled. In fact, they have to use subtitles for a bulk of the film. And the moments where there weren't subtitles, I had no clue what was being said or what was going on, but it does help build that idea of confusion and kind of paranoia that you're feeling with these children. But all in all, this is a movie that really isn't going to be for everyone. If you're someone who's into this kind of subgenre of horror, I think you'll enjoy it. I think you'll find something to really like from it. If you like I said, more conventional horror, or you aren't really a fan of like art house horror, I think you might really, really hate this. I think this is a movie that is going to disappoint a lot of people, because if you're looking at kind of the marketing and the overall buzz around this movie, I think people think it's going to be this huge, scary movie, and it's not that. It's a far more disturbing and nuanced movie, and I think general audiences are going to probably maybe even walk out of this film, particularly in the first 30 minutes. If you do stick it out past those first 30 minutes, I do think it's worth it. I even myself, I was like, where's this movie going? I don't understand it. I don't understand why this movie is supposed to be so disturbing or scary, but it really does kick into gear. So this is a hard movie for me to rate, but I do give it a 6 out of 10. It is slightly above average. I do think if it could be tightened up, maybe if you shaved off 30 minutes of this movie and made it like a really tight short film, it could be one of those like cursed films that people talk about and it circulates across the internet. But having it stretched out to almost an hour or just over an hour and a half, it just doesn't feel merited. And I feel like you're going to lose a lot of the audience because of the stretched out nature of it. So if you checked out Skinamarink, let me know what you thought about it, because I would love to hear people's opinions, because it does feel very much like one of those films where some people, like a small select group, are going to love it. They're going to get it, and it's going to really resonate with them, and they're going to find it like a perfect film. And there's going to be another group of people, probably a pretty large group of people, they're going to absolutely hate this movie. They're going to think that it's horrible, think it's pretentious garbage. But I think for me, it falls somewhere in the middle, and it has to do with that budget and the ability to create such an unsettling film with not a lot of money, with kind of some basic premises, but still being able to pull it off. So it kind of falls into both camps for me. So again, thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and see you guys next time.